case 2, okay, again, we suppose z equals f of xy, and each of the variable of the intermediate variable so here's the term that we introduced, intermediate variables x and y is a function of two independent variables. It's S and T. S and T. By the way, here each of the intermediate variables, these two, x and y, are independent of each other. This is also important to. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because both are variable function of S and T, so they are not. But S and T are definitely independent of each other. Okay. Now we assume that everything. Let's before we assume anything, such that x is, instead of g of t, is now g of s and t, and y equals h of s and t. Now we assume that everything is differentiable on some domain, so suppose that suppose z is differentiable with respect to x and y, and x and y, or actually now we call it g and s, g and h, and g and h are differentiable with respect to s and t on their respective domain. Okay. So now we covered all the suppositions. Okay. So they are all, everything is differentiable. We have intermediate variables, we have independent variables. So maybe we'll underline these. Okay, so each one is a tier in this multi-tier structure, and now we're going to say that we can express z is indirectly a function of s and t, I should include that indirectly in the case 1. And the partial derivatives okay, now we'll write it. Del z del s and del z del t are given by, and this concludes the long-winded introduction to this particular theorem. And now we're going to write two expressions, one for del z del s and the other for del z del t. So what is del z del s in this case? Well, we have del z del x, right? And what shall I put, dx ds or del x del s? Del, because it's a partial derivative. Remember, x is a function of both s and t, so we can take the derivative of x with respect of either s or t. So it is the partial derivative del x del s. Okay? And then we'll have del z del y, and then times del z del y del s. And this will give you all the partial derivative with respect to s. And likewise, we can write underneath the same thing with respect to t. So it will be del z del x del t plus del z del y del t.